Hello, welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason, and today we are going to party like it's 1999. We're actually doing our series, continuing our series, Best of Years, and we are now up to 1999. For those of you just joining us, we've been doing a yearly series from basically when we first met back in 95, and we're kind of moving forward up the ladder, and we're up to 1995. Once again, this will be the part...
1999.
I'm sorry, 1999, my bad. Yeah. And once again, we'll be doing the first part of the show, so it'll be basically our number 10 through number 6, and then we'll do another show, later where we do our number 5 through number 1 with some honorable mentions. So, but before we get in,
a lot of honorable mentions for me.
Yeah, for you, I only do 5, so I try to keep it simple. Well, with that said, how was 1999 for you, man?
It was apparently very good because this was by far, out of this project we've done, this was by far the hardest top 10 for me to create. I personally own at least 30 movies from 1999. So apparently 1999 was a really good year for movies. So apparently it was a long time ago, so I don't remember how my personal life was, but I'm sure it was fine. But as far as movies, it was definitely a great year. How about you?
Yeah, it wasn't as good of a year for me as far as films. In this case, I don't own a lot of them. I own maybe half. Some of them I used to own but lost or stolen or whatever over the years. But I don't own as many. And this year was a little easier for me actually. There wasn't too many tough choices for me personally. So once I get to like the top 3, it's always kind of a toss up on those ones. But other than that, it wasn't too bad. So as far as a year, I don't remember what I was doing in 1999. To be honest with you, the only thing I remember about 99 was the whole Y2K stuff towards the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
And just
I remember I saw Galaxy Quest on New Year's Eve night, 1999, and I remember leaving the movie theater thinking, "Well, this might be it."
right, exactly.
Because I didn't believe any of that Y2K stuff, but as it got closer to midnight, it was easy to kind of get well, what would I do if something did happen crazy? You know what I mean? But
right. Yeah, but it was nothing. Yeah, just quick story. Yeah, I remember I was working in the pharmacy for Walgreens Pharmacy as a technician while I was in college, and we had a guy that worked in the store that was really believing in this Y2K stuff, and literally this guy went out to hardware stores and boarded up his house and was buying groceries and food and stuff like that, and quit his job I think a week before New Year's Eve or whatever, and basically said it was the end of the world. And we never saw that guy again. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's still in a bunker someplace or, not yet, guys. Let's just
he's still there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what happened to that guy, but, hopefully he didn't come out during the beginning of the quarantine. Otherwise he would be completely not know what's going on. But, I don't know what, I never saw that guy again though, but yeah, he basically just quit his job and boarded up everything and, very, very crazy stuff. So
actually, if he came out of his bunker this year, he might think he was right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. If he came out right now, he would probably think that oh man, we came out too soon. Back to the bunker, kids. Open up another can of sardines. Let's hide out a little bit longer. The world is
World War III is still happening.
Right, right, exactly. Well, cool. But yeah, other than that, there's nothing that memorable about that year for me. But yeah, other than that, it was good year. I mean, it's always a good year for film. There's always good movies that come out every year. But there's variance in terms of years that I like certain films more and that sort of stuff. But there were a lot of good films that I liked out of 1999. And with that said, let's get into it. So what is your number 10 for 1999?
My number 10 is The Matrix.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Kind of hard to complain about that one, right? I mean, everybody knows The Matrix.
Right. I
don't know anybody who doesn't like The Matrix.
Not the first one anyways.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we can get into that later, but I'm strongly of the opinion that you really only need the first Matrix movie and the Animatrix, which I actually really like. I think you can just forget the second and third ones even exist, frankly. But as for the first one, it's an amazing movie, still an amazing movie. And I saw it in the theater, And it was one of those times where you see a movie in a theater and it really feels like important. You know what I mean? Like this is like a new kind of movie, and there's something special about this. And there was, because it was a huge hit, and it's still a really popular movie. So I don't think I really need to synopsize The Matrix. Everybody knows The Matrix, but it's an awesome movie. It still holds up. It's The Matrix. Yeah, that's my number 10. Number 10 for 1999.
Yeah, no, The Matrix is great, man. I definitely love it. It's definitely far up my top 10 list. So it'll be probably on the second half of the show. But yeah, no, definitely one that I really enjoy. Like I said, there's not really a need to synopsize that one because everybody and their grandma has seen it. And, if you haven't seen it or heard of it, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it's just a great film. And like you said, the sequels, the second one I thought was okay. I didn't dislike it. But by the third one, I was definitely tired of whatever was going on in there. So they could have just ended it with the first one. But apparently they're making another one that's coming out. It's supposed to come out next year, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It'll be like a fourth Matrix movie that's being made. But I don't know what the deal with that is with the whole quarantine situation. I think all the release dates are getting pushed back. So maybe it'll be like 2020 before we actually see it. But
who knows?
Great film. Like I said, definitely will be in my lineup coming up shortly.
Cool.
My number 10, and I don't own a lot of movies from '99 for whatever reason. So some I used to own, but I don't have them now. So we'll be bringing mine in manually. So my number 10 is actually going to be Boys Don't Cry. Yeah, just a really, really good film. Obviously, most people have actually probably heard of that one as well. It's got the whole story. Not a surprise. It's based on a true story about a transgender woman that pretended to be a man, or was I'm sorry, not pretended, but transgender person that transitioned into a man. And the whole story about that, and the conflict of that. And once people started to find out that this person was really a woman and not, was born a woman and not a man, and that kind of stuff. It was kind of an important film for that time period, I think. I think that today, I don't know, would that film still get made today? I don't know, in the same way that it was made back then. You know what I mean? I don't know. So it's hard to really say. I wonder about that, because where we are as a country today and where we've progressed, back then it was really, really kind of like a taboo thing to hear about someone that, was transgender and that sort of stuff. Whereas now, it's a lot more prevalent. We know a lot more about it. We're a little bit more educated about it and that sort of stuff. But when this movie was made, I don't know when it was set. I think it was like maybe 80s, late 90s, early 90s, somewhere around there. I'm not really for sure when it was supposed to be set in, but at that time period, that wasn't as accepted. Today.
Well, I mean, there's still plenty of hate crimes today.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm not saying that that we're beyond anything like that, but definitely we've made some strides since then. So it's a lot more. It's more acceptable today. You see more trans people in the workforce, stuff like that. Whereas back in that, when that movie was made, you really didn't see that every day or in workplaces or that sort of stuff. So, and that's all I'm saying. But
But I can't remember when it actually happened.
Yeah,
I can't remember when that was. I think it was maybe the early 90s.
I'm thinking like early 90s, late 80s at the earliest, somewhere around there. But a really good film. Like I said, my number 10 is Boys Don't Cry, and if you haven't seen it, definitely one you should check out.
Yeah, that's a great movie, and just to show you how much how many great movies there are in 1999, in my opinion, that actually didn't make the top 10, which I would have thought it would have, but it's pretty close in the runner-ups for me. But yeah, it's a great film, and Hilary Swank, just she deserved that Oscar she won for sure.
Oh, absolutely, I agree 100%.
And I remember when that movie came out, she was only known. I think the only other movie that she was really known for was the next Karate Kid. So it was a big jump for her for sure. So the director had the faith in her to pull it off, and then that obviously made her entire career.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool, excellent,
cool. Number 9.
Number 9, another movie that pretty much doesn't really need much explaining because it was a gigantic hit. The Sixth Sense.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Number 9 for me is The Sixth Sense. Another one that I don't really need to synopsize because everyone and their mom has seen The Sixth Sense, I'm pretty sure. And I still won't talk about the twist, I guess, even though everybody and their mom knows the twist also. But this is just it's a really good ghost story. It's a really good drama. It is a horror movie, but I really think of it almost more as a drama because it's like a very emotional movie. It's way more emotional than a lot of horror movies you would consider. But it's a really great ghost story. It's of course it's the movie that put M. Night Shyamalan on the map for better and for worse.
Right. True.
For better and for worse. I think he's got his mojo back a little bit, but it was a huge hit, and I remember I saw it in the theater opening weekend, and I remember it was really cool seeing that movie just kind of grow and grow and grow. I remember because I saw it opening weekend when it was just another movie coming out, and it didn't seem like anything that special. But it was truly a word of mouth thing because I remember it had been out for I remember me and you used to talk about it because it had been out at 6 months and it was still pulling in
like
millions
every weekend or something crazy. Yeah,
and it was just a little movie that cost very little to make, I think, and it ended up making like just hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's just and I think it's worth it. It really did deserve to be a big hit. And I do want to point out though that I'm a pretty gullible movie watcher. I don't guess twists a lot. And I kind of like that about myself because I can be surprised still. But this movie, I actually did guess. I want to put that out there because almost everybody seems so blown away by the twist, and I was like, I actually guessed it like a few minutes before it hit, and I was always kind of proud of myself for that because I'm always like the person that's like at the twist, because everybody else says you didn't guess that, and I'm like, no, I didn't guess it because usually I don't, but that one I did.
Yeah, I don't recall guessing it. I recall maybe kind of wondering, you know what I mean? But I didn't recall actually guessing. But I definitely enjoy The Sixth Sense. It's also another one that will be a little bit up my list as well. But yeah, definitely one of the better twist films, if you will. It is more of a drama than a ghost story or anything of that nature because it's not necessarily scary in many parts. I would think it's definitely more of a story. But again, I'm not spoiling any twists or anything like that, but it's definitely a movie that you pretty much just have to see for yourself in order to see how everything unfolds and that sort of stuff. So, but now that it's been out for so long, I think that most people, even if you haven't seen it, you probably have heard the tagline or know the twist or heard somebody spout out about it at this point. So, definitely a good film. Great choice for number 9, though. I agree. Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My number 9, going in a different direction, another one I don't own, of course, is going to be Office Space. So, yeah, I just love it. It's just a great comedy. I always have so much fun watching this one. It's definitely about office workplace people and that sort of stuff, and about downsizing and and the stupid reports and stuff like that you have to do when you're working in the office, your TPS reports and things of that nature. It's just a great comedy. I really enjoy it. It's so much fun. It's another one that probably most people have most likely have seen, kind of thing, or have heard about it. It's kind of like one of those cult classics. I don't know if it played very well at the box office, but I know that it's like one that almost everybody I've talked to has seen at some point in their time, and it's just one of those just really good funny comedies that definitely want to check out, especially if you work in an office environment. It's always fun to kind of pretend like that's kind of the environment that I work in and that sort of stuff. So that's my number 9, Office Space.
Cool. Yeah, I love Office Space, and yeah, it did not do well in the box office at all. It bombed.
Yeah.
Because it didn't really have any big stars, I guess. Really, Jennifer Aniston sort of, but she wasn't like as huge as she was later on.
Right.
And yeah, it tanked. It tanked in the theater, but it's one of those that became a classic on video, actually. And that's where people saw it and passed it around. And yeah, now pretty much everybody has seen it. But when it came out, it made like $15 million or something, just like sad. But I'm glad it's got it's had a life afterwards. It's hilarious. Yeah, I work in an office setting now, so it's even funnier now to me than it used to be.
Yeah, because neither one of us were really working in an office environment back in '99 when that came out. So it's definitely, very poignant as today because when you work in an office and you're like you can kind of relate to it in some way. Everybody can kind of relate to it. So
yeah, and also I always kind of hated TGI Fridays, so I love that the restaurant in there is obviously TGI Fridays. That they're making fun of that kind of generic chain restaurant. So I always like that. But yeah, it's a hilarious movie. It's not, again, as a testament to how strong 1999 was. It's not in my top 10, but it's definitely in the runner-ups, and I do have it in the other room.
Cool.
So yeah,
cool.
Awesome.
Moving right along to number 8.
Okay, number 8 is one that I'm pretty sure is not further on up your list, and that is Sofia Coppola's The Virgin Suicides.
Definitely not.
This is a great movie. One that I think has just gotten better over the years. When it came out, I liked it, but it's one of those that it's kind of a hard movie to piece together. It's very ambiguous, very, very ambiguous, and movies like that usually take a little while to grow on you because you have to keep going back and keep noticing how many layers there are to it and how many mysteries it has. So it's a really great movie. It's Sofia Coppola's first movie, and I really like Lost in Translation a lot too, but they'd be neck and neck. But she definitely peaked early, I think. I would love to see her make a movie as good as those again, but I guess those are her first 2 movies, and they're still her best. But this movie, it's set in the 70s, and it's about it's kind of interesting because the girls in the movie are not even the main characters, really. They are seen through the eyes of this group of like teenage boys who are obsessed with this family of 5 beautiful blonde teenage girls who were growing up in a very repressive home and committed suicide, and nobody, all in one night, they all committed suicide, and nobody could ever really know why they did that. And the movie is kind of, it is based on a book. I haven't read the book, but it's a movie that feels like a book because it's told like kind of in flashback, but it's not quite told in order. And it's hard to even tell who the main characters are because you're seeing through the eyes of the boys, but it's about the girls, if that makes any sense. But it's a very weird movie. It's a very odd movie, but I think it's a masterpiece, honestly. So even though I think it's a masterpiece, it's still just number 8. That's how much I like 1999. So I highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen The Virgin Suicides. I got a fancy Criterion Blu-ray here, but any way you can see The Virgin Suicides, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not one that I necessarily loved or enjoyed. I found it just kind of depressing. Not a film that I would really rewatch again. Just not a fun film. I don't know. Just wasn't that interesting to me and wasn't fun. So was it not one that I would
fun like was it fun like Boys Don't Cry?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was probably more humor in Boys Don't Cry than there was in The Virgin Suicides.
I don't know.
The Boys Don't Cry doesn't get like really awkward until like the last third of it. You know what I mean? Whereas I felt the movie of The Virgin Suicides was just kind of like going through the motions. We kind of already knew exactly what was going to happen. So I'm like, let's get to it. So just my take. But hey, if you like depressing films about, mass suicides, then by all means, check it out.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Well, moving on. My number 8, I actually do own this one, which is a rarity for this year. So my number 8 is actually going to be Go. So I just rewatched this the other night. I just love this movie. It's just so much fun. It's basically and we'll be doing another show at some point on this, is basically one of those like one crazy day type movies where it's basically centered around, I would say it's 3 different stories that are all kind of interconnected, maybe 4 if you even want to count that, but 3 or 4 different stories are all kind of interconnected. They all kind of sort of basically about a group of people that all kind of either work together or know each other through work. And it basically kind of like shows you a snapshot of life of that day for one person. And then it'll then rewind back to when they were at the grocery store. And then it'll show you a different walk of life or a different day for a different character or two different people. And then it rewinds again. So it's kind of a fun story because you get to see a different perspective from everybody, and they're all kind of involved in different stuff. They're either involved in, a drug deal going bad, a trip to Vegas gone bad, a drug sting, basically, if you will, gone bad. You know what I mean? So it's like three basically bad stories that happen, but they're super funny though. They're all funny and how they unfold. It's a very funny and just fun film. And it's the one that I've always loved. I always get a kick out of it and the different characters. And there's a lot of, up and coming stars at that particular time. Katie Holmes before she was like a huge star, and a bunch of other people as well in that film. But yeah, just a really good, fun film. And my number 8 film is Go.
Yes, Go is one of my favorite movies for sure. It's also in my top 10 for sure, a little bit higher up. But yeah, you described it well. It's just like it's definitely a one crazy night movie, and we both like those. And I love it's one of those movies like much like Out of Sight. It's clearly kind of influenced by Pulp Fiction. It was one of the many movies that came out in kind of the wake of Pulp Fiction that were influenced by that type of storytelling. And I think Out of Sight and Go were probably the best. There were a lot of bad Pulp Fiction ripoffs, but and Out of Sight and Go, they're so good that I don't really want to call them a Pulp Fiction ripoff. They're not really, but you know what I mean? Like they're clearly influenced by Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's the whole lot of really good dialogues, playing with the scenes,
out of sequence.
Out of sequence scenes and that sort of stuff. So a lot of those same tricks that Tarantino used in that film. So I can see why a lot of people would say it may be a ripoff, but it's definitely influenced by. But that happens with every film. You know what I mean? I go back to, I think it was actually Tarantino that said everybody steals. You know what I mean? Like everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You could say,
he's the biggest. He's the biggest thief of all, kind of.
Yeah, and I guess there's copycat, and then there's also paying homage to or being influenced by, and I kind of view those a little bit differently. I think those are more, I would say they're an homage, but I say these are more being influenced by, and but their stories are completely unique. They're different. They're very refreshing, and they're great films and standalone films as well. So and I own all three of them, and they're all completely different, and depending on the mood, I can watch any given 3 at any given time. So
yeah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Right along to number 7.
All right, number 7 for me is The Green Mile. So this is another one that a lot of people are familiar with. It's Stephen King. I'm a big Stephen King fan. I like a lot of movies that are based on Stephen King books. And I always thought this one, it always has kind of been viewed in the shadow of The Shawshank Redemption, because it came out like 5 years later. But I think it's always been, and probably justifiably, like The Shawshank Redemption has been here for most people, and The Green Mile is like here, because it's also a prison movie. It's got a lot of similarities to The Shawshank Redemption, but I still think it's a really great movie. The last time I watched it, it really kind of blew me away. It was a lot better than I remembered it being. But it's just I love that kind of Stephen King storytelling. What can I say? I like that narration, the way he tells stories set in this time period. It's a really powerfully emotional movie. That I didn't remember that either the last time I watched it because it had been so long. But it's a very powerful movie. Tom Hanks is great. Michael Clark Duncan is great. Doug, what's his name? Doug Hutchison was really good in there. Yeah. I think he went kind of crazy after acting. But anyway, it's just, everybody knows The Green Mile. It's Stephen King. It's Tom Hanks. It's not The Shawshank Redemption, but it's pretty darn close. So that's my number 7 for 1999.
Awesome. Yeah, it's actually on my list as well. It's just a little ways up as well. Also, so yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like all of your bottom ones are kind of more up on my list, basically.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it. It's a great story. Like I said, it's not as good as Shawshank Redemption. I'll definitely can admit to that.
Yeah.
But it's good on its own, and there's not really necessarily a reason to compare the two. Because it's still a prison film, but it's a different story, a little more.
Yeah, it's supernatural. There's supernatural
There's
elements.
supernatural elements to it. It's got a little bit more. It feels a little bit more sinister as well in terms of the crimes and that sort of stuff also. And then definitely doesn't necessarily wrap up as neatly as probably Shawshank Redemption does either. So, but
yeah.
but no, I enjoy it. It's a great film, and like I said, it definitely is just a little bit ways up the list for me. So
right. It's very, very long.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in many years just because of that reason. So I have to kind of be in the mood for it. So
it's 188 minutes, 3 hours and 8 minutes, and I remember, like, I love when a long movie is really well paced to where you don't feel it. I love that, and this is one of those movies where you can watch a 90-minute movie and it feels like forever. You know what I mean? Like, you check and it's only been 35 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I can't survive another hour of this. But this is one where it's like, it's an hour and a half in and it doesn't feel like anything. So pacing is so important in those kind of movies, and it's really well paced too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a long one, but it is one of the ones that is longer that doesn't feel quite as long, but 3 hours is still 3 hours. You know what I mean? So
well, yeah,
you gotta
carve out some time.
Yeah, when you figure you go watch 2 90-minute movies in that time, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that's a lot of time. You really got to have some some time to kill on that particular day. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
But cool, great choice. My number 7, again, done on it, is Any Given Sunday. So football
nice.
film, a lot of big stars: Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, James Woods, Hello, Cool J. Tons of stars in that film. Great football film. Basically, there's a lot of different stories involved in that. Basically, Al Pacino's a coach. Jamie Foxx is kind of a young, upcoming quarterback with an ego problem. Cameron Diaz is kind of like the recent owner of the team kind of thing. The only thing that's really weird about it is, instead of calling it like the Super Bowl, they couldn't get licensing or something like that, so they have to call like the Pantheon Cup or something weird, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that was kind of weird, but it's just a really good football film, really gritty. Obviously Oliver Stone, so it's got just a lot of violent, very violent football film in that sense. You got people like eyes getting gorged out on the football field and stuff like that. So but it's just a really good football film. One of my favorite, overall, sports films. One that I always, really enjoy. I haven't seen it in a few years, but one that anytime I watch, I still get the same satisfaction from it. So that's my number 7.
Cool. Yeah, I love Any Given Sunday. It's been a really long time since I watched it. I know in 1999, I had already started making top 10 lists back in 1999, and it was in my top 10 list back then, but I haven't seen it in so long that it didn't quite make it in this time. But I might watch it again and regret not putting it in there. I don't know. I do own it, and it's in one of these really old, like, snap cases.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's old, and it probably doesn't look too good on a high definition television, but I do want to watch it again one of these days. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's probably about the same version that I had as well. And in fact, I want to say you probably stole it from me.
No.
But no, great film though. Definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's the last. I think it's the last good movie Oliver Stone made, isn't it?
Might be. I can't think of another one off the top of my head. I have to go through his IMDb catalog and see, but you're probably right. So
Savages was okay, right? Wasn't it? Okay?
I liked it. I did like Savages. Not as good as this, but I liked it. So it was just decent. It won't make my top 10 for that year, that's for sure. So
okay, yeah, cool. Well, yeah, great choice.
Cool. All right, we're already on number 6, man. Look at that.
Yeah. Number 6, we won't need to talk about too long because number 6 is Go.
Okay.
Yeah. So we already talked about it. It's great. Everybody should watch Go. It's also, I should add, it's also one of my favorite Christmas movies. I think we should do a show about unconventional Christmas movies.
Yeah, it's definitely a very unconventional Christmas movie, and you don't even really realize that it's a Christmas movie at all. You know what I mean? I guess
it's
the way that
subtle.
Well, there's also another Christmas movie that I'm sure is going to appear on both of our lists for this year that also you wouldn't necessarily consider to be a Christmas movie. So, not this. Still, I'm sorry. No, different year. I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm completely my bad. But yeah, there's definitely some unconventional Christmas movies out there, and this.
They're my favorite. They're my favorite because I get tired of watching A Christmas Story and National Lampoon's. Every year.
Conventional Christmas movies, though, you know what I mean? They really are centered around Christmas. These ones, Christmas is in the background, way in the background. You know what I mean? Like that's
why I like watching them. That's what I mean. Like I get tired of watching like the the super Christmassy ones. I like watching like movies like Go and Gremlins and Black Christmas, like the ones that are Christmas movies, but they're a little darker and weirder and edgier. So. Those are my favorite. I'm tired of all the traditional ones. I've seen them all 50 times.
All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, my number 6, we probably won't be talking about for a whole long time either, because we also just talked about it, which is The Green Mile.
Nice.
So, So once again, we pretty much covered it. So great film. Definitely enjoy it. Like you said, it's not my favorite Stephen King film, but it's definitely up there, definitely probably in the tops, and I don't know if it's in my top 10. I don't know. He's had a lot of films that were or a lot of books that were made into films, so it's hard to really say. Yeah. But yeah, definitely one that I loved. Great story. Like I said, it's 3 hours, but you really, really don't notice it. And there's a lot of, great elements to the story. And like you said, Michael Clark Duncan was really, really good in there. Tom Hanks is really good. A lot of great acting in there. Even with the supernatural elements, it's just a really good story. So,
yeah.
Cool. Well, that is our top, or bottom half of our top 10 list for 1999. Kind of interested to see how the rest of that list turns out for you, but we'll be doing another show on that again here shortly. Once again, as always, we ask that you continue to watch and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell notification, just so you don't miss whenever we upload a new video. And we'll be back again soon with part 2 of our best top films of 1999, and we may have some other shows in between there, but just stay tuned, and we'll be uploading that show again real soon. Thanks so much, and have a good day. All right, bye.